Welcome to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Come on to the theatre.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 59 of the Manx Theatre Podcast with me, Neil Callin. Thank you to everyone who's listened to our previous episodes. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome along and thanks for joining us. In this podcast, we like to try and keep you up to date with what's going on in theatre on the Isle of Man, chatting to the cast and creatives of upcoming shows to find out a little more about the shows and the people behind them, and also what our Manx-born and bred performers are doing further afield.
Coming up on this week's podcast.
I'm joined by Joey Wylde and Alex Duncan from Centre Stage Productions, ahead of their upcoming production of School of Rock. Now, if you're listening to this today, the 30th of September, on the day that we publish this episode, then you're listening on International Podcast Day. And what better way to spend the day than to listen to some great podcasts? And an even better way is to share those podcasts with friends and encourage them to like, subscribe and share too. Subscribing the podcasts really helps the creators find bigger audiences as they make their way up the suggested listening lists. Now, you can listen to all of our previous episodes through all the usual podcast outlets and at manxradio.com/podcasts. Whilst you're there, make sure to give us a like and click subscribe or follow or wherever it is you need to do to make sure you never miss an episode. Now, as mentioned in the last episode, we're finally on YouTube. So now you can subscribe to the podcast there. Now, either go to the Manx Radio channel or search for Manx Theatre Podcast and you'll find us there. Now, in conjunction with Alex Mzotta, who was one of the originators of this podcast, and Underwood Productions, we've set up the Manx Theatre YouTube channel. And on this channel, you'll be able to view all of the video promos that he has made and will make for the island shows. So if you've appeared in one, head over to YouTube and watch them again there. The Manx Operatic Society held their auditions last weekend for their March 2025 production of Everybody's Talking About Jamie. The cast list was published late on Sunday evening and is as follows. The lead role of Jamie New will be played by Ben Gale. His mother Margaret will be played by Lisa Dancox. Ray by Tracy McCann. Miss Hedge, Bethan Owen. Pretty, Jamie's best mate, will be played by Lola Sutton. Hugo, the drag queen, will be played by Nathan Ray. And Jamie's dad will be played by Jason Buckley. The trio of drag queens, Like a Virgin, played by Rhys Griffiths, Sandra Bullock by Gareth Leese, and Trey Sophisticate will be played by Maurice Marie Andrea. In the ensemble, Dean is played by Kieran Doherty, Becca Elna Scott, Vicky Florrie Thomas, Sai by Jay O'Connell, Bex Anya Jagus, Saeed Adam Brooks, Fatima Morgana Vendemia. And the rest of the cast will be covered by Holly Callow, Matilda Clegg, Roma Forfar, Layla Safie Vahapla, sorry if that's pronounced wrong, Emma Stratford, Shannon Skillen, Charles Emmanuel de Montelou. That looks like it's going to be a great cast and a great show. We'll look forward to seeing that when it comes out. The Isle of Man Arts Council have just appointed 2 new members in Peter Shimon and Fiona Edwards for the next 5 years. Many of us will know Peter from his previous appearances on the podcast while he was the Creative Development Coordinator of Kensington Arts, and will know him from his many appearances on the Gaiety stage with the Douglas Choral Union, Taylor Orion Productions, and most recently in Jersey Boys with 2 Feathers. Peter has also worked professionally, acting and directing, and has also been AD on a number of shows on the island. Fiona Edwards currently plays the cornet with the Crosby Silver Band and is a long-time maker of embroidery, crochet, knitting and jewellery, actively taking part in local craft markets. Currently working in financial services, Fiona will bring her passion for grassroots arts development and participation to the council. Right, in the meantime, make sure you keep up to date with what's going on between episodes by following Manx Theatre Podcast on both Facebook and Instagram and at Manx Theatre Pod on X, formerly known as Twitter. Right, down to business. I'm joined in the studio today by Joey Wylde and Alex Duncan from Centre Stage Productions, ahead of their upcoming production of School of Rock.
Hooray!
Hello! Now you can cheer. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. This is the first time for both of you, isn't it?
It is.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
It is.
It's been a long time, actually, Joey, that we've known each other, isn't it?
A long time.
It's going to take it all the way back to, I think it's probably 2007 for Underneath the Arches.
It was
You
Underneath the
can't
Arches.
be that old.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. I'm 34 now. Underneath the Arches, my first ever show.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It was just a baby.
Just a baby. Was told there's
You
no
still
costume
look
changes.
like
There
one.
was 18.
18.
There were lots.
There were lots.
And some wonderful routines.
Yeah.
And the one where we were jockeys where your calf would burn. Oh,
Yes.
well,
And no dance experience. And got told you'll be fine.
you're
Yeah.
fine. You got away with it. It's fine.
I think I cried at least 4 times.
And then Alex, I think this is the first time that we've ever met.
I think it is, Neil.
Yeah.
And certainly the first time on this podcast.
Yes. I know that you've. I saw you in Merchant of Venice last year.
You saw me last summer, fleetingly.
Yes.
I came on, wrecked the show, ran off through the audience. It was
The Duke, was it?
yeah. I can't remember of which. I think I was aiming for. I think he came from lots of different places. I was aiming for what you might call general foreign.
Excellent.
Yeah.
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 I just remember sort of, I knew pretty much, I think I knew everyone in the cast, but I didn't know you. And I was like, who was this guy? I thought,
Well,
he's
I've
good.
done quite a lot of open air Shakespeare over the years, and I know that if you're going to do it, you've got to give it beans.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I really want to get my teeth into some Shakespeare. So I'm glad that Charlie and Alex are now starting to do some Shakespeare. So there'll be an opportunity for me there at some point. But we'll get to that later. So anyway, we're here today to talk about School of Rock.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so
It's
fun.
so good.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is a fan of the film.
Yes, definitely.
I
a fan
don't
of the
know
film.
how you could not be a fan of the film. It is one of the most likeable, well-structured, joyous pieces of cinema. In fact,
yeah.
it's probably the only film that's truly captured Jack Black and what he gives.
Yes.
True.
And then this show, what Lloyd Webber has turned it into, it keeps everything and builds it. It's just a big smile, isn't it?
It's fantastic. You get some of the original songs from the film and the new songs that are there as well. It's rock and roll. It's
And
great.
do you know, I discovered today that the book is by Julian Fellows.
The book is extraordinarily written by Julian Fellows of Downton Abbey.
And Gosford Park.
Yeah, and you can't quite believe it in
Yeah.
a way. And it captures it so perfectly, because the film, of course, was written by Mike White, who played Ned in the film. But each rehearsal towards the end turns into a gig.
It
doesn't
does. It really does.
And it feels like a gig.
On stage. It obviously I do gigs with my band around the
Yeah.
islands, and when we get to that part of the show, it really does feel like we're just doing a gig, interacting with the kids. All the
Yeah.
kids play live, may I add. They are
Yeah.
fantastic. And it's just one big gig, and we have so much fun. Everyone's dancing around the rehearsal room. We hope people will be dancing in the audience.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
these
great.
kids are.
Oh, they're fantastic.
They are just so special. They are phenomenal. The fact I would suspect that the company looked for musicians first.
Yeah.
I think that is quite similar to what they did in the film. But they just kick it, don't they?
They're absolutely
They've got
amazing.
attitude. They rock out hard, and seeing them grow and get tighter as a band is so exciting. I mean, it makes us feel slightly ashamed of ourselves.
It does.
Doesn't it?
There's a
Because
line
they're-
in the show where I say to Zach, the guitarist, "You're better than me.
Yeah.
You're 10, you're
Yeah.
better than me." And it's true. This kid can play guitar.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So it largely follows the story of the film. There's a few slight changes, as there often is. But for anyone, I mean, that one person who probably has never seen the film, just give us an idea of the basic story.
Basic story. Do you want to explain your basic
Yeah,
story?
well, I
Lee?
can try.
You
I
can give it a go.
Do you know, I when I think of this film, and I know it really, really well, for me it almost feels like something like Rocky. It is a proper, beautiful underdog tale.
Yeah.
You have got a total dropout. That's you.
That's me.
Yeah. And a total loser who has all of those rock star wishes still in him.
Yeah.
But when you meet Dewey, he is an unemployed bum.
Yeah.
And
Man-child.
Yeah. And he, through happenstance, finds himself working at a very prestigious American prep school, proper Ivy League collegiate. And he then discovers, to begin with, that he can possibly take advantage of the kids' talents, the kids' musical talents, because he wants to go into a battle of the bands. He wants to rock out. He's been kicked out of his previous band, so he's on his last wits. And from there, not only do the kids learn the true meaning of rock,
The true meaning of rock and roll.
but he learns the true meaning of rock as well, doesn't he?
Yes.
He learns a huge amount.
He goes from this musician bum, and he learns about love. There's a lot of love in
Yeah.
there. And
The kids kind of help him
yeah.
to become a better person, really, don't they?
Yeah. He's this bum musician, but the kids really help him become a better person, make him see there's life outside of rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that's what the story's about, really.
And to say it builds to a crescendo is an understatement.
Yeah.
It just grows and grows and grows until, like Rocky, you're going to end with a big fight. Like School of Rock, you end in the big concert, and you are just lifted up throughout it.
It goes from being a show to a concert, I'd
Yeah.
say. By the end of the show, we want people out their seats, singing, dancing along, and that's the feel. It feels like a concert. By the
And
end of the
it's
show.
very funny.
It's very,
It has
very
moments of absolute stupidity and
And it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster at times as well, isn't
Yeah,
it? Some very
yeah.
sad songs
Yeah.
and very
hugely.
yeah.
But what I think audiences are really in for a treat for is watching Joey. I mean, this part is, as we said before, and as Joey and I have said many times, it is monumental.
Oh yeah.
And not only does Dewey lift all of the children and bring that rock spirit out of the children, but Joey is doing that as well.
Yeah.
And it is a monumental performance. So by God, I mean this guy probably feels like he's run a marathon at the end of every rehearsal.
Sweating after every
It's
rehearsal.
a big
Losing weight, so
challenge.
it's fine.
I know what that's like. I've been there myself.
It's one of them shows where the energy has to be there from the start, I feel.
Yeah.
You have to bring the energy with it and make sure the kids' energy is there as well, and it should last the whole show. And I think what we're doing, it's doing that, and it's working really well. But yeah, it's a slog. But by the end, it doesn't matter.
It's
we have
just
fun.
infectious, isn't it?
Yes.
The rock energy is
Yes.
so infectious. So I think people are going to absolutely love it.
And I think the original Broadway Dewey Finn was Alex Kurtzman, I think, who went on to play Beetlejuice as well. So
Alex Brightman.
Sorry,
Alex
yes.
Brightman. He's now a legend
Oh,
of mine. I want to be that man. In fact, if anyone wants to put on Beetlejuice next, that'd be fantastic. That'd be great.
look, he has said in interviews that he has some special folds in his throat
Yes, 'cause
that
he has
allows
to-
him to make this different kind
Yeah.
of sound.
Yeah. Because the whole show, it's just that gruff
Yeah.
all the way through, and yeah, it's brilliant.
8 shows a week. Impressive. Okay, so as we've just discussed, Joey, you are playing Dewey Finn as portrayed by Jack Black in the film.
Yes.
And Alex, you're playing his best friend, Ned Schneebly.
Yeah. And it's just really easy to do, isn't it?
Alex is hilarious in the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. Every rehearsal, he does something different, and we're all in absolute stitches. It's fantastic. So funny. Yeah.
But to say that I'm venting my teenage rock star dreams is so true. It's the type of show where you can properly let it rip. So in rehearsals, we're having an absolute ball.
So is there a bit more to Ned in the show than there is
Do
in
you
the
know,
film?
there's a huge amount
Yeah.
more,
Yes, a lot
actually.
more.
And I don't know whether that's because Jack White was on board as a writer to begin with in the film.
Yeah.
But the Ned part and the relationship between the two of them not only underpins a lot of the humour, but a lot of the pathos actually as well at certain points, doesn't it? But it's just felt so easy actually from day one. I mean, Joey is clearly a pain in the butt, but it's felt incredibly easy to work alongside him.
Excellent.
Same with Alex. We just have fun.
Yeah, we
just have fun with the scenes.
It's a proper
and
bromance.
Yeah, it is.
It is literally. It's got to the point where one of us walks in the rehearsal, we look at each other across the room. There's an embrace. There's a hug.
Do-do-do.
We've got
There's
a handshake.
music,
We've got a
there's
handshake. We've got a
there's the
handshake
lot.
now as
Yep.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ned's also he's a bit under the thumb, really, isn't he?
You will see that he is, I think, a bit. But fortunately, I've got the amazing Lauren who plays my long-term girlfriend, Patty, and again, just like Joey, she's a fantastic actor and incredibly easy to work with, and
what a voice!
what a voice! Serious
Wow.
pipes.
Wow.
And she spends a lot of the time putting poor me in my place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I was listening to the soundtrack this afternoon, and when it got to the Queen of the Night song, where she's taking the kids on their orchestra lesson,
Yes.
and she suddenly starts singing, and she's doing this little, I can't remember what the actual sort of piece of classical music is that they're playing, but she's like warbling over the top of it, thinking, crikey, whoever's playing that has got a heck of a job to do. And like I say, that's that's Lauren Molyneux that's taken on that role. So last year's Evita.
Yes, she is fantastic. So easy to work with. She came in late to the cast.
Yeah.
But she's picked up so well, and yeah, she's just brilliant.
It's a beautifully cleared voice.
Yes,
Really pure voice.
Yeah.
And that part in the film was played by Joan Cusack, who's
Yeah.
a fantastic actress. And I'm assuming they've built that part up a bit more as well.
In fact, it's a very different part.
Yeah.
It's one of the more different parts to the film, I think. I mean, I don't know whether that's the actress, of course. Joan Cusack is a very idiosyncratic performer.
Yeah.
But the part itself, this stern principal who in many ways rediscovers part of her youth that she was afraid had been missing.
Yeah.
Through Dewey, I think.
Yeah.
It's actually a bit more of an interesting character, I think.
It's a really nice character arc for her, because you do see the sternness of it, but by the end, you can see she's opened up more to her past and what she wanted and what she loved through music.
Yeah.
And Lauren just does it so well. She's brilliant. She's so good.
So does Miss Mullins and the kids help bring Dewey a bit more, make him a bit more responsible, but at the same time Dewey then helps her relax a little bit?
Bit more responsible.
Just a smidge.
A bit.
Just a smidge.
But there'll always be that rock star there.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But yeah, correct. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on then to the amazing kids. So you've got a few kids that are doing all of the shows, and then all the rest of the parts are split between two teams.
Yes, that's correct.
So Zach Moonaghan
Zach Moonaghan.
on the guitar, that is played by Mason Matthews. Eloise Barnes playing Katie on bass. Will Gerard playing Freddie on drums. You've got Sean Cannon playing Billy, the stylist, and Charlie Fitzpatrick playing Sophie.
And again, you are in for such a treat. There have been moments where the whole adult cast have just stopped the show to applaud these kids, not just from their playing in the rock band, but there's some really fantastic performance and actually some really mature performances. I've been lucky to work with lots of people. I've been lucky to work all around the world, and actually these kids are like working with any other professional, and the easiest thing to say would be that they get it.
Yeah.
They understand it. They understand those technical things like the rhythm of how humour might work or how the drama of it might work. And they're absolutely nailing it.
They're fantastic. They take direction so well.
Yeah.
Which for such kids, they are so young. They've been a pleasure to work with.
Yeah.
They've been great. I think I'm the immature one in the rehearsal.
I think you are too.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's probably, you're probably right.
True.
Yeah. Okay, and then and obviously these kids are all playing live every night, which is going to be amazing to see.
Yes.
And hear, rather. So Lauren, who is the keyboard player, is split between Mila Barnett and Chloe Corkle.
Yes.
Tamika on vocals is split between Emily Musgrove and Rosie Bullock.
And they are
both.
I mean, you can't say enough words about either of them. What I love about both of them is they are both so different.
Yes. Yeah. Both voices are incredible. They sing a solo in the show, and your jaw drops when they sing. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, I would almost urge audiences to try and see both casts, because they are so different, but in such a fantastic way.
Brilliant. The band's manager, Summer, is split between Ailish Kilgallen and Crystal State.
My boss.
Your boss. Don't we know it? Don't we know it?
Marcy, the backup singer, is split between Ava Corlett and Lowenna Jockin. Chanel, another backup singer, is Bluebell Bowers and Honora Barron. Madison, the other roadie, is split between Nev Neen and Shannon Skillen. Maya, who's in charge of the lighting, is split between Ailish Webster and Georgia Marr.
I used to teach her.
Oh, right, okay. And Jamie, the security, is split between Evie Grace Allen and Alice Hemmensley. And then there are 14 adult ensemble and 20 children, which made up of 2 teams of 10. So that's a heck of a cast, isn't it?
It's a big cast.
It's a heck of a cast.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But actually, that's why I think, certainly for me, rehearsals have been so much fun, because you've got a big gathering of people it, who are really behind it.
Yeah, true. It's well, the thing for rehearsals with me is, it's the role I'm playing, it's so energetic and so it's so much fun to play. And I'm in rehearsals and I'll do a scene. I'm like, yeah, that went well, and I'm sweating and I'm like this, and then suddenly it's like,
Now with the other team.
yeah, another other team now. It's like, okay, cool, brilliant.
Okay. So in the big seats at the front, the important ones, director then is David Dawson.
Yes.
He's back again for another show. We've got the dream team of Steve Dakin as musical director. Steve is fantastic to work with, isn't he?
So fun to work with.
Yeah.
I find it so fun to work with. He's great.
Well, he's an exceptional musician as
Yeah.
well. I mean, both he
Yeah.
and his wife Heather really lead from the front. So, I mean, you're getting professional musicians. You're getting professional musicians that you would get in any other professional production.
Yeah.
So I think they bring a great sheen of quality to it.
Yeah, so as just you said there, Heather Dakin, his wife, then is the assistant musical director. And Jem Last is the assistant director. And not forgetting Alice Smith, who is the choreographer that's putting you all in your place.
She is putting us in our place, isn't she?
She really is.
She really is.
Yeah, I mean, she is tough.
She's tough.
And she's mean.
Yeah.
Cruel, but in a good way.
She's lovely. She's so lovely. I love her to bits. She's great.
I've seen a couple of videos that's been put out onto Facebook, and it looks great.
But with the choreography, these kids, they're doing full dance routines, and we're struggling to turn with the guitar. Before every rehearsal, we're like, we do this. Yeah, we do that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I did Jersey Boys earlier this year, so with Charlie and some of the other boys, they're just turning with the guitar. That was difficult to begin with, and then they worked on it and worked on it and worked. And to be fair to them, by the end of the 9 months of rehearsals, they really had nailed those routines. They were great.
Neil, I turn with the guitar as my second job. I should be able to do this.
Yeah, I was trying not to say that, Joe, but okay, so let's have a little bit about yourselves, actually. So, like we were saying before, Joey, you've been around for quite a while. You played in a lot of bands. You've done a few shows on the island.
Yeah.
Well, Underneath the Arches, wasn't it? Back in 2007, that was your first one.
Yes, first show. Yes, I'd just come out of Manx Stars in Your Eyes.
Yeah.
It was literally the day after Manx Stars in Your Eyes.
Oh, wow.
And I was working at Robinson's in ShopRite, and Matt James came in.
These stories always start
I
with Matt
love
James
this
came in.
already. This is brilliant.
Matt James came in and said, would you like to come to an audition for the show?
Yeah.
And I said, what show? And he said, Underneath the Arches. And I said, yeah, no worries. When is it? It's in an hour. So it was that afternoon or something.
Yeah.
So I literally had to leave the job and go and audition. And I walked into the rehearsal room, never danced in my life, and I was greeted by you.
Yes.
In the rehearsal,
Yeah.
in the audition room, thinking, I'm a singer. I just got to go in and sing. There's a dance routine. Neil, can you go through it with them in the kitchen?
Yeah.
And then, I did that, and I did my first show. And it really opened my eyes, because obviously just being a karaoke singer, really.
Yeah.
To being in a full-blown production, I kind of got the bug for it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And then from there, it was Titanic the musical was next.
Yeah.
And so on and so on.
And Hot Mikado.
Hot Mikado.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good fun show.
Yes, we've done a couple together.
We have, haven't we? Yeah.
Had some fun.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about the Notebook in Titanic, are we?
Maybe later.
Okay. Alex, now you've professionally trained, haven't you?
Yeah.
And worked professionally.
Yeah, for a long time, for about 15, 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, so you went to, was it Guildford School of Acting?
Yeah, I did. So I'm Manx born and bred, but when I left the island, I first of all joined the National Youth Theatre. I think to try and prove to my parents that I wasn't awful.
Yeah.
And after National Youth Theatre, I went to Guildford for 3 years. And I was reasonably lucky. I was awarded the Principal's Award at the end of the 3 years, and then became your typical jobbing actor. I mean, I lived out of a suitcase for the best part of 15 years.
Wow.
and toured. I mean, I played the majority of the big theatres in England, but it took me to a few more further flung places as well.
Yeah. So I believe you've worked on stuff for the BBC, for the Globe and the National Theatre.
Yeah. So lots of the places, and what's nice to look back is I think I hit most of the targets that I aimed for. When I was growing up, I suppose I was slightly odd in that I was the sort of boy who, after I was put to bed and after I heard the lights of the house go out, I would go downstairs and I'd watch old Laurence Olivier films until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Or watch old Derek Jacobi perform, or watch old early Kenneth Branagh films. And then when I was able to reach some of those heights or take on some of those parts, I suppose it was a real thrill.
Okay, what was the best part that you had?
Best.
Or your favourite, yeah.
The best. I think possibly Henry V. Which was always a play that I adored, and it was a film that I absolutely adored. And I played that in Richmond in London at the most beautiful theatre there. So I was really lucky, and that was a nice big deal. So I got the Times Critics Award for that. So that felt quite nice. And it was all in the round theatre. It was when you're holding your sword aloft up a ladder in front of a few hundred people screaming "God for Harry and England" and St. George, you feel as though it's quite an exciting, wonderful thing.
That's pretty good, the chills, isn't it?
Yeah. But I love my comedy as well. Yeah. So I'm enormously passionate about my comedy. So
he's very good at it too. Very good at it.
Even Eightbourne, I've absolutely adored. So I remember doing a play called Taking Steps. I played Tristram in that, and we took that out to the Middle East and to some extraordinary places. And that was really broad, very physical comedy, falling downstairs, all of that sort of stuff. And I really got a kick out of that. Yeah.
So you must have been on some productions then with some pretty decent budget behind it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I've probably done the absolute opposite and been on ones that have absolutely scraped by on a shoestring as well.
I think we all have, yeah. So with that in mind then, I mean, obviously there must have been, with varying degrees of budget when it comes to costume, you must have had some really, really good costumes and some pretty awful ones.
Yeah.
Is there anything that springs to mind immediately on those?
I would think maybe, so good ones that I've really enjoyed. I did a fantastic play called Tunes of Glory, a big national tour of this, and it's based on a wonderful Scottish film with Alec Guinness and John Mills, and the director was fortunately an obsessive about the film.
Right.
And we used the costumes from the film.
Wow.
So I don't know if I was actually wearing Obi-Wan's kilt, but there is a chance that I may have been wearing Obi-Wan's kilt.
Wow.
But that was great. Yeah. Beautiful World War II costumes for a Scottish barracks. That was a lot of fun. Then on the flip side, I think one of my... it was revolting. Everything about it was revolting, but probably brilliantly revolting was Twelfth Night, and it was a 1920s production, so I had to wear one of those wonderful all-in-one swimming costumes, gentleman swimming costume.
Lovely.
But I did, of course, wear it with flippers and a snorkel. And this was in an open-air production. So
was it woolen as well?
It was woolen.
Oh, yes.
So it was pretty breezy.
H-tastic.
And we were performing in Oxford in the open air, and I remember having to walk, a good 500 metres out in Headington
flippers.
Park. Yeah, with this absolutely outrageous thing on. But I think, as stupid as it was, I think it got the reaction that maybe it wanted.
I mean, Taylorian are always fantastic for costumes, and back in the day with John Cumberledge, he was a real stickler for costume, and he always got he would spend hours down at the RSC and all these different places, Academy, and picking out the best costumes that he could, and you knew that you were going to be dressed well in John Cumberledge's show.
And if anyone ever gets the chance to go to one of these places, to go to Angels or to go to the RSC wardrobe, they are such treasure troves, the things you will see in there. You will see football pitch size rooms just for prosthetics, or a whole room dedicated to the Tudor era, or another dedicated to post-war.
And I think it was in Sunset Boulevard, and I was playing Sheldrake, and I had this wonderful sort of pinstriped shirt, and I was going to put it on one night, and I noticed the label in the back of it said producer's accountant. I thought, that's probably the closest I'm going to get to being in the producers. I'll take that. What about you, Joey? How about you for costumes?
Costumes. So, my most favourite costume, and for me it's quite an iconic because it's another dream role, was Enjolras in Les Mis.
Oh, yeah.
It was just to put on that red waistcoat and hold that flag. The
Yeah.
feeling was incredible. My worst costume was actually a John Cumberland show.
Yeah.
Not for the look of the costume, the feel of the costume.
Oh, right.
Underneath the Arches.
Yeah.
Pantomime.
Oh,
remember pantomime?
yes.
It was this big Shakespearean thing, like a ruff around the neck, and it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever put on in my life. And then you throw leggings on underneath. Bearing in mind, it's my first show. I've never worn leggings in my life. And it was just so uncomfortable. That's probably my worst costume, because this thing around my neck. But it looked incredible,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, but...
I wore
me.
rainbow lycra for Spamalot. That was that's hitting pretty high on my list of worst costumes.
You loved it.
It was the furry rainbow boot covers and the matching studded hat that went with it was the.
Sounds good.
Sounds
like a Saturday night.
Yeah.
It was at the Camelot GAY club. That's what it was. I actually for costume, I thought you were probably going to say the Titanic one with your officer's uniform.
Oh no, I loved that.
Yeah.
But there is a story about that, I can tell.
Oh, go on.
So, during Titanic, we played numerous... I played Harold Bride, which was my first role, one of my favourite roles I've ever played. And we had to play other classes, so a third class and a first class. So the scene changes were so quick that we made the decision to put trousers underneath trousers, as you do.
Oh, yeah.
So I did the Harold Bride scene, the song The Night Was Alive with David Cowley, loved it so much. And then the next scene was a first class scene where I wore this like cream suit, but the trousers were quite long, so I had to tuck the socks in.
Yeah.
That was my mum being my costume person at the time, first time she'd ever done it. Did the scene, it was fantastic, ran off to quick change, got changed, walked on stage, my trousers were still tucked in my socks. And I don't know why, in my head, this was all my mum's fault. This was all my mum's fault.
You've got no
But yeah,
one to
that
blame.
happened.
I had that in Jersey Boys this year. So there were, to begin with, some of the costume changes were manic. So I was underdressing. I was having pairs of trousers under other trousers, so just to try and speed things. But actually, once you sort of get into the run of it, you go, actually, I've got a lot more time than I think I have
through it,
Yeah, and I had the same. I had trousers under trousers, and the underneath trousers were wrapped and tucked into my socks. And I'm stood in the wings, just about to step on them, and ooh, pulled them out, and on we go.
See, you realised, I didn't realise, I walked on with it.
It's that last second thing, Joey.
Yeah.
You've always got to check your flies and check your socks.
True.
Okay. Oh, there was another thing that I was going to ask as well. It's about props. So this is one of the newer questions that we've come up with. With costumes in mind, you're allowed to keep one costume and or prop from any show that you've been in. What would it be and why?
That's easy for me.
Oh, yeah.
It would be the red waistcoat from Les Mis. I did try to take it after Les Mis. I asked, could I buy it? And it was quite a lot of money, so
Yes.
I had to say no. But I'm gutted I didn't take that.
Yeah.
I did take, sorry, Manx Ops, I did take the little badge.
Yeah.
The red and white and blue badge, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. I took my truncheon from Sweeney Todd.
Fair play.
Yeah. Alex, how about you?
Okay, so I will try. I think I was in a production of Three Men in a Boat at the Theatre Royal in Bury St Edmunds. Beautiful, beautiful theatre. And of course, for those who know the book, daft story.
Yeah.
Three posh dudes go on a trip in a boat. Hilarity ensues. But of course, it's not just three guys. It's three guys and a dog.
Yeah.
And their dog Montmorency, who's a little terrier.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a dog on stage. We did puppetry, and the dog was a deer stalker hat,
Right.
which was passed between the three of us at various points. And that may sound quite simplistic, but we had amazing guys. We had the Warhorse guys come on board
Wow.
and really
Yeah.
direct us beautifully with how this hat became. And in many ways, of course, the dog stole the show. And brilliant production, great fun. And then a month or two after it finished, I went to a wedding, And my wife and I looked at the seating plan as we were about to go in for the wedding breakfast, and it said Annabelle, Alex, Montmorency. And I went, "What? Who's that next to me? Is that the dog's name on the seat next to me?" And I walked in and I got to my seat and I sat down, and next to me was a chair with a deerstalker hat on it.
Wow.
Somebody had seen the show.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, I think I'd take the hat.
Yeah, definitely take that. That's brilliant. That's a wonderful idea. Okay, because I think it's often a popular one and an interesting one actually as well. And you know, sometimes this one is a bit more difficult for guys than it is for girls, because there's not a huge amount of amazing female lead roles out there that people tend to go for. I mean, it's getting better. A lot of the newer shows are more female led and female heavy, but it's the gender sort of question. Which role would you most like to play of the opposite gender?
So, straight into my head was Tracy Turnblad, Hairspray.
Do you know, I can see that.
I would love.
It's a winner.
The songs are brilliant. Yeah, and I think it'd be great.
I think you'd be great.
Yes, so do I.
Keep the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think there's certainly an Edna in your future anyway.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Once I'm past that. Yeah, sure.
I'd love to play Edna at some point. She's so much fun. Alex, how about you? What's your...
Do you know, I feel like I'm cheating a bit because I know this is the theatre podcast, but I am going to steer into television.
Okay.
And into my absurd geekery. Those who know me know that I am a nerd through and through and fly my flag with pride.
I'm liking him even more.
So my female role would be Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because she is a legend.
She is a
She
legend.
is iconic.
An actual childhood crush of mine. I'm
Oh,
not going
good,
to lie.
good.
Definitely.
I mean, there
let's go
was
for a
that
drink.
I don't know what to say.
there was that famous musical episode,
There was,
There was,
yeah,
wasn't there?
yeah.
and of course Anthony Head,
And Anthony Head, big musical theatre.
big musical theatre.
Yeah.
'Cause didn't he play? Was he the?
Oh, he was Frankenfooter and all sorts,
Yeah,
wasn't he?
he was in chess as well, wasn't
Yeah.
he? No. That was his brother Murray. Brother, cousin. I don't know. It's a relation anyway. Yeah. Wrong, Mr. Head. But there's a link there anyway. Okay. Right. Okay. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. Just going back, School of Rock is playing at the Gaiety Theatre then from Saturday the 19th to Saturday the 26th of October, with performances at 2:30pm and 7:30pm on both of Saturdays, a 2:30 matinee only on Sunday the 20th, and evening performances at 7:30pm on every day except for Monday the 21st, when it looks like you're getting a night off.
But we've got a busy time.
We're very busy.
Yeah,
But
nine-
I would just say to everyone, you just come along. This is the show that you need. This is fun, lively, joyous. Cast are amazing. You will leave on such a high, and you'll be going home. You will be getting out all your old rock records. It's just brilliant.
Do you know, I remember seeing School of Rock, the film, for the very first time way back in 2003 when it came out. I was in Oxford. I was there for an audition for the Oxford School of Drama, which I didn't get into, unfortunately. But I was there for a couple of nights, and was staying in the youth hostel, and I went for a meal in a nice Italian up the road, and then I went to see the film by myself, and I was like the only person left at the end of the credits, because they sing all the way through the credits, don't they? Fantastic. And then I come home from rugby training on Sunday afternoon, and there it is on Channel 4.
Yeah, we have a group chat, and it went around the group chat that was.
It
on,
was
and-
very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, like it's the perfect little bit of promo for you,
It is.
Exactly.
just a month
It
out
is.
from the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. It's not like I messaged Channel 4 to do it, but
Oh, well done, buddy.
thank you. No worries. Anytime.
Excellent. Right, way back in 2020, which seems like forever ago now, just after the first big lockdown, Neil King and I created the Manx Theatre playlist. Now, this is a playlist of musical theatre songs. It's our ultimate musical theatre playlist. When we set it up, Neil and I each put 10 songs each, because, you know, playlist with 2 songs is boring and quick. So we put 10 songs in each to get it started. Now, these are songs from shows we've either been in, shows that we love, or songs that just mean something special to us. Like, for instance, for me, Seasons of Love was sang by a group of friends at our wedding.
Love that.
And Not While I'm Around, that was one of my first big roles in Sweeney Todd. I loved singing that song. That was great. And Wait For It from Hamilton is just an amazing number. It's brilliant.
You can see Rhythm of Life is in there. Neil King. I sang the Rhythm of Life in Sweet Charity.
Yes.
With Neil King.
With Neil King, yes.
Yep.
Now, every person who's come onto the podcast since then has added a new song to the list. Having a look down the list, we've had Emma Callin chose the Overture from West Side Story. Now, she wanted a song from West Side Story, but couldn't decide which one, and thought, well, actually, West Side is a proper old school overture. It has a little bit of every song from the show.
Yeah.
So she was a little greedy and went for the overture and got all the songs. Dandy Dancox chose What Bacon Could Do from The Waitress. Charlie Williams chose From Now On from The Greatest Showman. Chrissy Sutcliffe, I Am What I Am from La Cage aux Folles. Lisa Smith chose Little Girls from Annie. And Bryony Grant chose Quiet from 13 Stories Down, which is a show I'd never heard of before, but it's quite good. So, Joe, Alex, what are your songs and why would you like to add them?
So, I am going to go for a song from our show. Yes. Because the show is not on there. School of Rock is not on this list.
No.
It has to be Stick It to the Man.
Oh, what a wonderful song.
It has to be.
Such a tune.
Has to be Stick It to the Man.
And it is just it's just a thumper, isn't it? It's an absolute belter.
Yeah. It's a good sing. It's a very good sing.
I mean, there are a lot of songs. I was like I said earlier before, and I was listening to the soundtrack this afternoon, and even right from the start, the first one is Climb to the Top of Mount Rock.
Yeah, it's up there, isn't it? That's it's a way to kick off a show.
That's hit it big at the start and keep going, isn't it?
And I've just got to carry on all the way through and hope.
Good luck, mate.
Thank you. Nothing Barocca won't sort out. It'll be fine.
Steaming. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, what's your choice?
Well, again, I was stuck with it, and I am abiding by your rules this time. So
Okay.
I am abiding by the theatre rules.
Okay.
I did veer off at one point. And
Can we please tell them what the other one was, though?
okay, well, the other one was from the film A School of Rock, and
Yeah.
I was thinking Immigrant Song, Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
because
Awesome.
what a tune.
Yeah.
But as we are going for theatre songs, and as we wanted a song that was important in whatever way or spoke to us in whatever way, this isn't something that I've been a part of, but I'm waving my nerd flag again, and I'm going for the much underappreciated and underrated Lord of the Rings musical that has just had its revival. Of course, it was notorious in the West End because it lost tens of millions.
It was like the most expensive musical ever, wasn't it?
And I saw it in the West End, and I thought it was breathtaking and magical. And what I particularly adored is they had about 10 different composers. And so there was a lot of world music in there. And it's only recently, it was last year, revived at the Windmill Theatre, and I think it's a really special show. So I am going for Galadriel's song from the Lord of the Rings musical, which is called Wonder.
Wow.
Wonder.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that one out.
Every musical I do, I always say this is my last one, but now I know that this is a thing. I want to be Gollum. I want to make that happen.
You'd be. You would.
Gollum
You would be precious, is what you'd be.
Or Samwise. Great, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you'd be great at both of those.
I'm getting on YouTube.
It definitely seems time. It might be slightly out of the budget of the Manx companies, but you never know.
You never know. One man show.
do it.
Top of two man show.
I'll
Me
do it
and
with
you.
you, buddy. I'll
Top
do
of
it with you.
Snaefell.
Let's do it. We got it there.
Proper
You've heard
open
it
air
here.
theatre, top of Snaefell.
Yeah.
That's it.
Excellent. Right, gentlemen, well, thank you very much for joining me. School of Rock is playing at the Gaiety Theatre, as I said before, from the 19th to the 26th of October.
Come and
Performances
see
at
it.
2:30 and
Wear
7:30 on
horns.
Saturdays.
Bring your air guitar.
Bring it on, yes. Leather jackets.
That's it.
It's all got to be done.
Come on.
Yeah. 2 performances, 2:30 and 7:30 on the Saturdays, a 2:30 matinee on the Sunday, which is the 20th, and then evening performances throughout the week, except for Monday, the 21st. If you've not done so already, make sure you get your tickets now from villagaiety.com or by calling 600 555. Joey, Alex, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
And I wish you and everyone at Centre Stage all the very best for School of
All
Rock.
right, thank you.
Stick it to the man.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast with Neil Callin.
The Musicians' Union and Equity will be visiting the Isle of Man next month. They'll be holding a performing artists event at the Colonnade Suite at the Ville Marina on Saturday the 5th of October, starting from 7 p.m. The event is open to both union and non-members, so should be a lovely chance to get together for local performers and musicians. And best of all, it's free. However, it is a ticketed event, so you can find a link for the Eventbrite site on our Facebook page. Applications for the next Young Singer of Man competition in January 2025 are now open. This competition is open to anyone aged 7 to 18 as of the 25th of January 2025, with no entry fee, and the winners leave with a gorgeous trophy and a £150 cash prize. Application forms are available at erinartcentre.com/YSOM, and the closing date for entries is Friday the 13th of December. Applications are also open for entries to the Madfa Easter Festival, and they're looking for full-length and one-act plays to make it their best week of theatre yet. 2025 is particularly special as it will mark their 75th anniversary of hosting festivals on the Isle of Man. They would like to make the week very special and are particularly keen to see productions that will celebrate the diversity of theatre across its many genres, from comedy to tragedy and everything in between. You can find the application form and more information at madfa.im. That's madf.im. The closing date for entries is Sunday the 1st of December 2024. In the last episode, I mentioned that Stage Door Entertainment Isle of Man will be staging the Calendar Girls musical by Gary Barlow and Tim Firth next year. The performances will be during TT Practice Week at the end of May, and they've now announced the cast, which includes Christine Wilson, Lisa Kreisky, Danielle Bridson, Joanne Dickinson, Sonia Callan, Gráinne Jochen and Emma Callan in the leading roles, supported by Alex Duncan, who's just been on, and he didn't even mention that, Jeff Pugh, Rachel Braidwood, Debbie Gooding, Kate Cowley, Daniel Gray, Darren Webb, Kieran Doherty, Zach Colgan and Katie Rose Hughes. What a fabulous cast. Now, apparently tickets are on sale soon, and as soon as they're out, we will let you know. Well, with that, we bring episode 59 to a close. Thanks once again to Joey and Alex for joining me on the podcast, and I wish them and everyone involved with School of Rock all the very best for their run. Don't forget to check out our Spotify playlist by searching for Manx Theatre Podcast, and that's all one word. There's over 100 tracks on there now, and over 7 hours of show tunes to satisfy your musical theatre needs. If you have any events that you'd like me to talk about or promote in a future episode, you can contact me through the social media accounts or by email to manxtheatrepodcast@gmail.com. All that remains is to say thanks for listening, and I hope you join me again next time. I've been Neil Callin, and you've been listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast. Goodbye.
The Manx Theatre Podcast, taking a look behind the scenes of Manx Theatre.
And happier than actors alive for me.